Biography of Karl Marx. Marx was born on 5th May 1818 in Terre, a small, originally Roman city on the river of Moselle. Many of Marx's ancestors were rabbis, but his father, Henrik, a lawyer of liberal political view, converted from Judaism to Christianity, and Marx was baptized with the rest of his family in 1824. At the school, the young Marx excelled in literary subjects in 1835. He entered the University of Bonn to study law. At the end of 1836, he transferred to Berlin and became a member of Young Hegelian Doctor Club and Bohemian group whose leading figure was the theologian Bruno Bohr. The view of Doctor Club turned increasingly radical in the late 1830s. In 1838, his father was died. In next year, perhaps not coincidentally, Marx abandoned the law in favor of doctorate philosophy. His thesis difference between the Democritian and Epicurean philosophy of nature was accepted by the University of Jena in 1840. Marx had hoped to use it to gain an academic position, but after Bruno Bohr's suspension from his post at the University of Bonn, it became apparent that such hope would have to be abandoned in the current political climate. Marx turned instead to journalism, involving himself with the newly founded Zeitung and taking over the editorship in October 1840. However, the paper came increasingly into conflict with Prussian government and was banned in March 1843. At this point, Marx decided to move abroad. In summer, he married Jenny after an engagement of 6 years, and during long honeymoon, he worked on critique of Hegelian philosophy of right and the essay on the Jewish question, in which he started to formulate his disagreement with his fellow young Hegelians. He and his wife Jenny moved toward the Paris in October in that year. It was in 1844 that Marx met up again with Friedrich Engels, and the alliance that was to last for the rest of Marx's life was formed. Together, Marx and Engels wrote the Holy Family of polemic against Bruno Bohr. More important, however, was the body of writing and economic and philosophy that Marx produced at this time, which is generally known as the Paris manuscript. Marx was expelled from France in 1845 and moved to Brussels in the spring of 1845. He wrote for his own clarification a series of theses that are one of the few mature statements that we have from him of his view and questions of epistemology and ontology. In 1845 to 46, Marx and Engels wrote the German ideology, which, although is to remain unpublished, contains an authoritative account of their theory of history and particular of the way of the place of ideas in society. Marx developing economic view were given expression in a polemic against the poverty of philosophy in 1847. The Communist Manifesto, written by Marx and Engels as the Manifesto of the Communist League in early 1848, is the classic presentation of the revolutionary upsurge of 1848. Marx returned to Germany, but with the defeat of the revolutionary movement, he was forced to leave first for Paris and then in August 1849 for London, where he would live in exile for the rest of his life. The year of exile in Britain were difficult ones for Marx. He was in constant financial difficulty, and he had to rely heavily on Engels and other friends and relationship for support. His theoretical activity were chiefly directed to the study of political economy and the analysis of the capitalist system in particular. They culminated in the publication of volume 1 of the Das Kapital 1867. However, Das Kapital is the tip of the substantial iceberg of less important publication and unpublished writing. Amongst the former of the preface to the contribution to the Old Critique of Political Economy, published in 1859, contained the classic statement of the Marx's materialist theory of his. Volume 2 and 3 of Das Kapital left unfinished at Marx's death and were edited and published posthumously by Engels. In addition, Theories of Surplus Value, a series of critical discussion of the other political economists written in 1862 to 63, were published in the early 20th century. An extensive and more or less complete work was written in 1857 to 58, but only published in 1939. The introduction to the Grundrisse is the mature Marx's most extended discussion of the method of the political economy. In addition, there exist numerous notebook and preliminary drafts, many of which have been published. Political economy apart, Marx wrote 3 works on political events in France. Number first, Class Struggle in France, 1850. Number second, the 18th Brumaire of Louis Bonaparte in 1852. And the third one is the Civil War in France in 1871. Among his many polemical writings, the Critique of Gotha Programs in 1875 is particularly important for the light it threw a Marx's conception of the socialism and its relation to idea of justice. Marx was in poor health for the last 10 years of his life, and this seems to have sapped his energies for large-scale theoretical works. However, his engagement with the practical detail of revolutionary politics was unnecessary. He died on 14 March 1883 and is buried in Highgate Cemetery, London. There are between 9 and 11 mourners at his funeral. Marx was also introduced Marxian theory. Marxian economics is the school of economic thought based on the work of 19th century economist and philosopher Karl Marx. Marxist economics posed on the role of labor in the development of the economy and is critical on classical approach to wages and productivity developed by Adam Smith. Marx argued that specialization of the labor force coupled with growing population pushes wages down, adding that the value placed on the goods and services